All right, we are live for the July Hacker Summer Camp Q&A, where you can ask questions and we will attempt to answer them. We're on Twitch and YouTube and LinkedIn. And if you don't ask questions, we will give you random Las Vegas / DEF CON advice for at least a half an hour, and then you can watch the replay later. So I guess we'll start with intros. Render.
I'm Renderman, been going to DEF CON since 1999. I'm pretty sure if you cut my liver in half, you could count the rings from all the damage over the years. Yeah, I've literally quit jobs to go, so seen a lot and done a lot, and a lot done to me. That's a whole other, broadcast that we could talk about.
All right, and Jess?
So I've been to DEF CON a few times. I've been to B-Sides a few times. My first one was in like 2006. I don't know, like DEF CON 13, maybe. But I lived in Vegas for a couple of years. I got a degree down there and stuff, so I'm pretty familiar. I haven't been there a lot post-pandemic, so I don't know how much of that is super relevant, but...
Yeah. I'm Gullo. I've been going since DEF CON 7. So I've been there for...
Same as me.
Yep. Long time.
And I'm Nicole. I am the COO for Diana Initiative, and I have been going since DEF CON 8, I believe. And yeah, I also help run an event. I've helped run Sky Talks, and I've been going to B-Sides Las Vegas since B-Sides 2. And yay, Black Girls Hack. Waving hi, they're in our comments. So I guess one thing that got brought up last time that we're not going to put in the print guide because we don't want to put it in writing is please don't take suggestions from your cab drivers. And this is not unique to Las Vegas. This happens all over the world. So this is a standard thing. Recommendation for all travel. Research where you want to go before you decide where you're going, then get a taxi cab or whatever. Because if you ask for recommendations of a bar or a strip club or a cannabis place or whatever, some of them have deals where they get a cut of sales for customers they drop off. And that is not necessarily in your best interest because those places may be overpriced and or not great. So general travel advice, decide where you want to go before you go there. That also is helpful with the vortex problem, because if you're like, I have decided I am going to this restaurant for lunch or dinner and it's in Chinatown and I'm looking for 3 people to share a taxi cab with me, you might get some people who are like, oh, I can't decide what to get to dinner, to share that taxi cab with you and have great new friends at dinner, as opposed to being stuck in a lobby for 40 minutes all trying to decide what you're going to eat. So that's the advice I'm going to start with for today. Anybody else? Like, what is the most important thing that you think we missed last time or that people should be prepping for now?
Making sure that you have what you need, and also situations of there's this thing with Vegas. Everybody's like, oh, well, I'm just in the hotel right next to the venue. Yeah, that could be like a mile walk back to your room. The scale of things in Vegas is different. Planning for having stuff with you that you might need, realistically might need, is very important. So like for me, I've always got my carry bag, this thing, full of crap, but it's got my lock picks in it, things like duct tape. A tape measure is remarkably useful. Lock picks, handcuff keys, because you never know when people will attach you to things or things to you. Spork, titanium spork, because sometimes you get something to eat or something like that, and there's no plastic cutlery. I mean, a lot of jurisdictions are getting rid of plastic cutlery now, so have a spork. Med kit. you're going to be walking a great deal, so have like band-aids for blisters and things like that. I learned about
Pro tip: show up to Diana Initiative and grab one of our hacker summer camp survival kits, because we've got good stuff in there for anyone who picks those up.
It's just looking at the things you're going to do and trying to minimize return trips to your room if you can avoid it, because it can take like a half hour or more depending on where you're staying, and making sure that you don't carry excessive amounts, because you will be also carrying it all day. So having finding that balance is always a trick. I've refined mine over the years to the point where people know to come up to me and actually find, they know that I have a thing, like band-aids. Like my med kit is specifically designed for hackers taking face plants drunk, so patching them up. Also lots of condoms and lube, strangely enough, but hey, want to be able to be safe.
Right. Whereas I think expanded EDC is a really, really good just chunk of advice. Like everything that you normally carry ×2, because you might have to give it away, or you might need extra, or you might just not be able to get back to your room. Like, everybody wants to give the advice, like
consumables.
For sure. Like granola bars and stuff too, right? Like even just snacks and whatever. Everybody says don't go to the talks, right? Because you'll be able to stream those later. But even just like you said, the scale of getting back and forth from like Caesars to the Villages and the Flamingo, right? Like if you left it in your room, there's no way. It's an hour round trip, right? Through the crowds and up and down the thing and the whatever. So for sure that, I would say like over-the-counter medication is what I'm probably known for. You might be known for physical stuff like Band-Aids and stitches, and I'm known for like always have like ibuprofen, Imodium, Tums, right? Benadryl, like
Alka-Seltzer.
All of that stuff all the time. Because yeah, if you are the kind of person who wears sunglasses and regular glasses, right? Just have them both with you. You never know when you're going to make it back, right? When you leave the house, you're leaving for the day.
Yeah.
I was in Harrah's to the contest area at DEF CON last year, and it was a 15 to 20 minute walk each way before the conference started, and during the conference that could balloon up to 40 minutes each direction. So be sure that you're able to walk, and be sure that you have gear that you can carry. You guys have a lot of consumables. I have a lot of electronics. I have all the adapters and the laptops and all kinds of random cables and whatever else that somebody may ask me for at some point in time. But my pack is generally way overweight for walking around for
roller bag
like 15 hours a day.
I mean, and if you're already admitting that it's overly heavy, and overloaded, it's like, well, if you start bitching about how heavy it is at con, you ain't gonna get sympathy from me.
Yeah.
Well, the trick
once
is
you're there, and you have it. Unless
exactly, if you stay, you don't have to schlep it around so much, right?
Yeah, make sure you have some way of acquiring and drinking water. A lot of times they have the little water stations, but having a water bottle with you just in case you're not actually in the convention area or you can't find one of those little stations that actually has water.
I got a little plastic U.S. Army canteen I always carry for just that reason.
And keep snacks and stuff away from hotel security. If they see you carrying around food that is not casino foods, then you get stopped and harassed. And yeah.
Same for the booze run and anything that you want to like run up to your room real quick. Like throw a towel over the top of that.
But also, if you are a volunteer, DEF CON can actually get fined, or Diana Initiative, and I'm sure it applies to SquadCon too, will literally get a fine for each piece of food they find if they can justify that you're part of the event, not an attendee. So they'll harass you as an attendee. They will actually ding the event for money, and not insignificant amounts of money, if you look like you're a volunteer. And we do have our first question, which is, which conferences do you need to actually sign up for sessions at? And let's go in reverse, start with Julio and go back to Render. And
I almost never sign up for sessions. Generally, the conference for me is I'm either doing like helping to run a contest, volunteering for something, or there's absolutely no plan and we're just setting fire to things randomly throughout everywhere.
I got my ham license last year at the village, and that required like making an appointment ahead of time and being like, yeah, I'm totally going to be there for sure. Most of the stuff that I didn't require an appointment, but was like a set time. So it wasn't necessarily that you had to sign up, but it was that like you had to know that talk is going to have a line like over in the BHV, right? If they're not streaming it, and you're going to want to get there like half an hour early. And does anybody else use the app, the Hacker Tracker app?
Yep.
I found it like occasionally a little buggy, but super useful most of the time.
Yeah.
They did just release an update, so everyone should go grab an update.
Okay.
The vast majority of sessions, I've never actually gone to one of the workshops, like the official classes that DEF CON puts on. I think those are like first come first serve kind of thing, and it's really fairly small.
They do actually ask for a bunch of those for you to pre-register,
Okay.
and then if you are a no-show, they'll let people in.
So
So definitely register for them and do them. Like, don't not show up.
Don't.
But
ghost them.
if you haven't gotten in, feel free to like go and wait. At least it was the thing like last year and the year before that at a certain time, I think like 5-2 or 10 till the class start, they would actually let people in.
The vast majority of things you don't need to sign up for unless like the ham license, there's a specific, they need your info in advance, but that's probably the only exception. Everything else is just show up. If there's space, you're in. If there isn't space, well, quick check for the fire marshal. They might cram you in anyways, but the vast majority of things you don't need to sign up for.
So yeah, my thoughts are
I would show up early if it's something you really want to see to make sure that you get a seat.
Yeah. My thought is figure out your one thing you want to do each day. Like look at Hacker Tracker, look at all the schedules, and then figure out if that one thing is RSVP or not. I personally recommend participating in a contest or participating in a workshop, but I learn better by doing. So absolutely grab your, YOLO device, prep it with all of the tools and things you think you're going to need because the Wi-Fi may not be the fastest, and go do those contests or get your ham radio license or do,
do
whatever.
The thing that you can't do with a library card.
And do the thing that you're not going to be able to do later. A lot of the talks, yes, it's fun to see the talks, but except for Diana Initiative, because we haven't raised enough money yet. If anyone wants to give us money, please do. But a lot of the conferences try and record the talks, and then they're available after. The conversations you have in the villages are not a thing you can replicate in your living room.
One suggestion I have about the talks and I think DEF CON still does it. It's been years since I've been to a talk, but they have the breakout session afterwards. Those are almost
some talks. They still do that, not all.
Okay.
Generally, what they've done is they'll have like a designated area for the Q&A. So it's not essentially a breakout, but it's we need to get you off stage. If you have questions, go here. Like
Yep.
It's to stop that gaggle at the stairs on the stage kind of thing.
In any of those that I've been to have been like the best thing. Yeah. They've just been golden eggs every time. They're just the best things ever, but you have to really want to go to that talk and then like sit down and go through things after that talk.
Another
as well.
thing that,
and I'm actually going to detour for a minute because we have one of our volunteers from TDI that wants to pop on stream. So I'm going to bring her in, and she's actually got an interesting question. So we're going to have a live person to pepper us with questions. Hey, glad you could make it. I think you're muted.
You're muted.
Wait,
there we go. Perfect.
Hey, everybody. I'm Shonda, one of the volunteers. How's everybody doing?
Good.
That's good. And I signed up. I think I signed up to help out maybe a setup. I'm not sure, one of the booths, but I did sign up on one of the sign-up sheets to help when I get there. But I did have a question. I'm one of the scholarship winners, so I was able to I'm able to come to Hacker Summer Camp, which I'm very excited for. But then I did see that DEF CON was a cost of $460 at the door. And I just wanted to see what did that entail. And then someone said something interesting before I got cut off. Before something happened with my camera. handcuff keys? I'm confused.
Okay, so we'll start in order. So first off, it's 460 DEF CON in advance, but that's over. There's no more advance tickets.
Okay.
It's $440 cash at the door. They're not going to take your credit card. Now, as a scholarship winner, when you show up to pick up your TDI ticket, you actually get a DEF CON QR, so you're set there. But
Okay.
the what does it cover is a really good question. You get a badge, and by the rules of DEF CON, that badge will get you into all official events. So there's official parties, official meetups, the talks, the villages.
Okay.
So you will have equal access to all the official stuff. Now, all the unofficial parties and unofficial meetups may have, like, for example, DC Furs. I don't think you're a furry. There's nothing wrong with being a furry. But if you are a furry, there's a DC Furs meetup. But to meet up in their suite room, you have to get an extra DC Furs badge, because running something at DEF CON costs money. Like, nobody understands how much it costs to, like, do things in Vegas.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
And so that kind of thing will cost extra if you're doing one of the workshops. I think there was a nominal fee for some of the, like, hands-on workshop stuff last year, and that was just really kind of like Diana Initiative charges $1 to do our workshops.
Okay.
It's just to make sure people show, because the amazing difference between the no-show rate on a $0 thing versus like a $1 thing, I don't get it, but hey, it works. And then handcuff key.
Yeah, I heard handcuff key. I heard a couple of things that somebody had in their handy dandy backpack, but that was
physical security.
I did hear handcuff key just in case you get cuffed or something. I'm like, wait, what are we doing?
So there's a thing called a lockpick village. We've got one at Diana. There's one, and there's also bypass village. It might be called physical security village now. And they'll do things like have a door or have handcuffs or have tamper evident seals on bags, all those kind of things. And so they might be like, all right, we're going to handcuff you to something, get your way out. And you need to either try and shim it or pick it or have a key on you.
Do we have can we throw a list out there so I know what to pack?
I mean, I could just certainly write out the contents of my bag. I mean,
oh my God.
So
a lot of people would be like, why? And it's
on
like,
the
there's usually a
Hackers Summer
story behind
Camp
it.
guide, which is linked below, I'm pretty sure I have my packing list.
Okay.
I will just let everybody know I overpack. So if you're a light packer,
I'm an overpacker.
You don't want to follow my list, but I will make sure I get him, because he's my husband and he's right downstairs, to add like renders extra notes for things that he packs. Between the two of us, I feel like we cover anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because we've got ham radio gear, Wi-Fi stuff, like.
Yeah. Oh, and that's another thing. I just going on Reddit, Twitter, just reading a lot of things about, the upcoming events. Someone did say, or I watched a video where someone said, whatever you do, don't sign on to any of the Wi-Fi's there.
Hard disagree.
Okay. That's what I was wondering. I'm like, oh my God, I need to bring my own Wi-Fi. Got to make sure my VPN is up. So
I will let everybody leave their 2 cents here, but in old school DEF CON days, that probably was more applicable because people were just trying random stuff.
Right.
DEF CON now has multiple Wi-Fi networks. DEF CON has like the contest network. They have like a specific network for the Wi-Fi village. Like, everybody's got their own segment. And so you're not going to run into somebody that's participating in a capture the flag contest accidentally hitting into you if you're not on the capture the flag Wi-Fi. So if you need Wi-Fi, treat it like Starbucks, where in Starbucks you should not be doing your banking. You should be using a VPN and that kind of thing. So can you connect to the Wi-Fi? Absolutely. Should you do anything sensitive on there? Please don't.
Right. Okay, that's what I wanted. I was like, okay, I was going to shoot you a message on one of our social media platforms.
Does anybody else disagree with me? Because we could totally have a fight on stream. I'm sure that would increase viewership.
So the DEF CON open Wi-Fi is not safe.
Okay.
There's a Wi-Fi that you can sign up for at DEF CON that you'll get a certificate, and then you use your certificate to connect to.
Okay.
I agree with
official thing.
Yeah, the official thing.
Okay.
The DEF CON open still official, but it's not.
Yes, wonderful explanation. Sorry, I forgot the names, but 100% that.
Yeah. In the book or guide or whatever they give you, there are instructions on how to you connect to the open network, but then you create a username and password. Don't reuse the same password.
Don't connect to the open network. Use your cellular connection to get your certificate.
Yeah. Then you get the certificate and the username and password that you created, and you basically then create like an enterprise, WP radius connection that is
PTLS.
Like
again,
along
don't do
the
your
lines,
banking or
though,
anything like incredibly important on it.
along the lines of things being intercepted and that sort of thing, I think I'm much more concerned about actually is the RFID tag on my hotel room key being scanned as I go walking around.
Let me tell you, I thought about making sure, because sometimes you think about, oh, here's my key, let me just throw it in my pocket. No, we gotta
put it in the little slippy envelopey thing. Yeah.
So yeah, there is
RFID thing.
Two tricks with that. One, the
awesome.
RFID blocking wallet.
Okay.
But then the other one is, honestly, I could break into your hotel room pretty easy, and so could he, like without the damn key. So if you haven't already seen, it is already packed in my bag. There's a couple little things that make it harder for people to bust into your hotel room, including hotel security with their unplanned, like checks, because Vegas has had issues lately, so they like to do these unplanned checks. So if you're in your room, I recommend popping on one of the extra locks.
Okay.
And don't bring anything super valuable with you.
Of course.
And then this way, if somebody does pop into your room, whatever, you are more important than any of your stuff. So that's I don't worry about it too much, because if somebody wants to bust into your room, they're gonna bust into your room.
Exactly. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. It was just a couple things. I was like, oh, I'm going to ask. I got to ask. But okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
If you're signing on to anything, once again, don't do like banking stuff there, but make sure it's all at least like HTTPS, else you'll end up on the wall of sheep.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So just make sure it's secure connections, or you're on a VPN and everything's tunneled through that VPN.
Okay. Perfect.
I like this question.
What swag?
So what swag do you get for the events? So luggage room. All right, I'm going to put in, it depends how many Hacker Summer Camp things you're going to. Are you going to Diana Initiative, BSides Las Vegas, DEF CON, and SquadCon?
Yep.
You probably want to take one of those squishy foldable duffel bags, fit that into your luggage, and just prepare to pay for an extra bag on the way
gym
home.
bag.
Like I'm just saying that right now. If you are a person who likes swag,
that's me.
Pack that squishy duffel bag in your bag and just prepare to pay the extra fee going home, because there are t-shirts, there are sweatshirts, there are cool badges, so many electronic blinky badges. DEF CON swag thing has like, I think, shot glasses and mugs and other things, and there's so many stickers.
All just a weird random crap.
Yes. Yeah, that's me. I love swag. I just love
the other thing to consider though is in your packing, people will be like throwing t-shirts at you randomly, and particularly if you go to Black Hat, any of the vendor booths or anything like that, t-shirts they give them away. Socks is the other thing they've been giving away a lot of. So if you're going to be there for like a week or whatever, you don't need to pack a week's worth of shirts, because they're literally going to be giving you laundry.
I have t-shirts all week.
Use that to kind of pad things out.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Now, if they just gave away pants, I would have like a hell of a lot better time packing. So.
Shipping from DEF CON, going to the business center towards the end of the con is generally a line. If you go out a little ways from con and find like a FedEx or a Kinko's or a UPS store or whatever they're called now to ship things from, it's usually way easier than trying to use what everyone is trying to use.
If you are international, don't do that. We did that last year after our wedding and tried to ship things home and happened to put a Nerf gun in there. That caused all sorts of incidences. So if you're international, do not ship your stuff back home.
Especially a Nerf gun.
Nerf up Canada is very concerned about guns, including Nerf. On the other hand, as like a prior US resident, 100% mailing thing sometimes is cheaper than airfare.
Gotcha. Perfect.
That $50 for the extra bag, again, if you get a light duffel bag, like gym bag size, and you've got it, you can what I've had to do times where somebody gave me something really, really fragile to bring home was actually bought one of those duffel bags and filled it full of laundry and the fragile items. And then did that as my carry-on, checked my normal carry
that's
bag.
the other thing too, is right, you're in Vegas. So if you need a bag of any sort, they are so inexpensive and everywhere, and probably say Viva Las Vegas on them somewhere. But are $1.
Do not buy them in the hotels. Go off the strip to like TJ's, Marshall's, or like one of those little weird kiosky things. And then I have definitely bought a bag.
It has to survive one trip, basically.
And it's just casual. Is it just because I remember you wrote in there, Nicole, in reference to, and I know as far as because I was in, I went to Denver. I went to WESIS, the Women in Cybersecurity Conference up there, and I was only there for 3 days. But you're right, the walking. Oh my God! Even 3 days, I was like, oh my God, I got to go back to my room for a second, sit down. So, and I had on tennis shoes. So, I just kind of think of kind of like a super casual, comfortable kind of thing. Like you were saying, as far as attire, dress attire, anyway.
Yeah, you if you show up to particularly DEF CON or BSides in a suit or something, or just all formal with that,
not that.
It's going to be like either like Fed or.
I'm going to caveat that as a girl who likes to dress up, I bring the cute shoes.
Okay.
I put them in a bag.
Okay.
I carry the bag with me to the dance. I put on the cute shoes at the dance for a little bit, and then they go
take
back
those bad boys off. That's it.
Yeah, and I mean, I am well known for wearing suits as well, but you know, mine was inspired by the Joker, so
okay.
You know, it's
but it's not unusual to hit like 18, 20,000 steps in a day.
Okay. Well, I'll get my steps in for sure. Yeah. Gotcha.
I mean, some of the goons were tracking for years, and it was like they would do 15 miles in a shift kind of thing. It was insane.
And we've got one more person to pop on stream, so I'm going to add them in since we answered that question. There we go. And you are now on stream. This is another one of our volunteers for the event. I think you're muted, so you probably want to unmute. We'll see.
I love how every modern phone call starts that way.
So we'll see if she pops in after a bit. Because yay, technology. Yeah. I do think we had a couple other questions. Black Girls Hack noted that especially the Black Hat Expo Hall is throwing t-shirts at you 100%. If you're going there, like bring 2 t-shirts or something. Like I think you'll be
set. I mean, you're probably going to want to buy, you know, at least 1 or 2 anyways, like some of the DEF CON ones or whatever. So it's definitely like don't bring your full allotment of t-shirts for the week. Assume you're going to get a couple extras.
Gotcha.
All right. Do we really choose a unique name while we're there? Not while we're there. Mine. I'm going to start with how I got mine. He can comment on there. I got mine back on an old IRC channel. My original name was Amazon V. Then this bookstore showed up, and now I gave up on that name because I got whiplash because everyone kept saying the word Amazon. But like, so I had it on IRC, and then as a result of having it on IRC, I also had it like over on AOL and all of the other things.
You're really dating yourself there.
So when I talked to people online, that's how they knew me. They didn't know me by my name. So when we showed up in person, I was Amazon. And you used to be able to stick your name like on your DEF CON, like RSVP. They don't do that anymore because now there's like 10 Amazons. I've now switched over to Circuit Swan, so I stopped getting whiplash because of that goofy bookstore. But you don't have to, you can use your name. If you don't want a silly name, you can use your name. But people may assign you a name if you don't have one.
That's what I was going to say. You can use whatever name you want. As Nicole said, you know, it's everybody typically will know somebody as their chosen name, you know, from online, whatever. So, you know, if I show up and you know somebody says, "Oh, hey, where's Brad?" People are like, "Who?" You say, "Render." "Oh, okay, you know that asshole." They don't know who you're talking about. It's a sound you make that identifies a particular chunk of meat that's walking around. Now, it is highly recommended that you have a handle, you know, a nickname or something. If not, the rule used to be, so this kind of backfire for some people. It used to be that if you do not have one, one will be chosen for you. There are a lot of people with the, you know, unfortunate nicknames like, you know, Titty Sprinkles or other things like that. So yeah, just think of something in advance, you know, a nickname.
The other thing I think to keep in mind a little bit too is for a lot of people, it's the very first time you're ever going to meet these people in real life, right? So if there is a nickname that you consistently use, like on your Tumblr and your Twitters and your whatever, and that's like what people might be anticipating, like it's totally fine to indicate that on a tag or whatever, right?
Yep. It's,
I've been going for decades, and there's a little over a dozen people that know my real name that attend DEF CON. I've gone.
But you also answer to your handle. Like if somebody shouts it across the room, that's the other thing too, is if you start all of a sudden going by a fake name and like you don't answer to it, it's not
going to work.
The room.
Here's the other thing that I will add to that. The when you pick a name, say it out loud.
Word.
Because there's a lot of things that look good in text that are either completely unpronounceable out loud, or you really will regret it if somebody's shouting that across a room.
Therapist.com is also therapist.com.
Mm-hmm. You know, Penn Island. You know, there's.
Would Saturday Night Live have a little skit on you? If so, maybe pick a different handle.
Yeah.
Unless you're into it.
There's some groups that will. There's some professional groups that you'll meet with that will shun you for using a handle. There are some party groups that you will embed yourself in that will shun you if you don't have a handle. So it can be hit or miss, depends on what group you're hanging out with at what time.
I mean, I've literally had friends coming to, like, you know, major life events of mine who
don't know your name.
Did not know.
You just went to a wedding.
Name. Not that it's hidden or anything like that. It's just
that was his wedding. People were trying to figure out what the name of the wedding was.
Yeah, because there was like 3 going on at the venue, and they were like, "Which? Did anybody bring an invite?"
Somebody, I flew to Hawaii for a wedding in January for someone I've known for like 12 years now, and they don't know my name.
Yeah. It's
fine.
An interesting thing because there's the given name and the chosen name, and it's a chance. And this is one of the glorious things about the community is, for the longest time before video became a thing, it was entirely text. You could represent who you were. You could choose a name that was gender neutral or anything like that, and people would know you based off that name. The only reason I really use my legal name for anything is because Render was doing all the cool stuff and getting all the street cred. When you try to put that on a resume, it doesn't work. So I had to I actually wrote some books specifically to get both names on the written by line, just so that I could say, yes, this is me. This is same person.
I just went a totally different route and changed my legal name and earned a PhD so I could actually be Dr. Danger in real life.
That is awesome.
Why not?
Gotta not take yourself too seriously, right?
Now, circling back to a comment that you had, which I think was really good, is when you do something with one group, that's the way, and when you do it with another group, that's the other way. DEF CON is huge. So let's start with Diana. Diana Initiative is very tiny, and our goal is for everybody to find friends who are interested in something they are, even if you're both beginners, to have somebody else to explore something with, because that makes it much less stressful. And so hopefully, you find that buddy and you can go on to SquadCon, you can go on to DEF CON, you can go on to BSides Las Vegas to do the thing together, and you're not alone and it's not scary. If you can't make it out on Monday for Diana Initiative, try and make that friend ahead of time so that when you go in, it's not so scary. And if you and your friend find a group and they talk down to you because you don't know something, now, if you're acting like a know-it-all, they're going to talk down to you. You deserve it. But if you genuinely ask a question and they talk down to you, fuck them. go find a different group. DEF CON is huge. It has so many awesome people who are like the expert in their field and want to teach you and would love to teach you. So go find the awesome people. And if somebody is being a jerk because you don't drink, or because you're young, or because you don't know something, fuck them, go find another group.
Embrace LineCon. If you can't make it early, like cash at the door means there's like hundreds of people waiting in line, going back and forth along this thing. Like hang out, turn around, ask questions, have stickers in your pocket, do a little exchange action, right? Like whatever your hobby is, if there's a portable version of it, bring it with you, because like that line is long enough to play a game of Risk.
Magnetic chessboard or something.
Like drop spindle, whatever it is. There's
been people, they have like gaming consoles they wear in their backpack so the person behind them can play games while they're in line.
Oh, I played on somebody's face last year. It was a little weird because he was watching me play like on his forehead, and I'm like, anyway, it was fun.
The know-it-all thing, be very, very careful with pretending knowledge or talking about something above you. Just, if you don't know, just ask. Most people there will be more than happy to sit down and help you, walk you through things, teach you something new because you're excited about something that they're excited about.
An unofficial DEF CON rule is ignorance is corrected, stupidity is punished. Yes. You're allowed to not know something, right? But admit it. If there's a conversation going on and you're like, I have no idea what you just said, you'll get like the 30-second, here's what you need to know to like follow along or clear up whatever. But there's that point where if you don't say that, you can kind of end up looking a bit of a fool, because it's like, I should have said something 5 minutes ago, but I was too scared. No, I always like pipe up, say something. But it's those people who think they know everything and are pretending, or maybe they legitimately believe it. I've been in situations where, somebody was talking about some wireless stuff and just kept digging themselves a hole. And it's like, okay, keep digging, keep in it. Okay. So yeah, I wrote a couple of the books you cited. This guy next to me wrote Kismet, the wireless scanner. This guy was on the 802.11i committee that wrote the WPA2 standard. Tell us again how much you know. I have never seen somebody shrink that much that quickly.
Conversely, though, I think that this is true in academia too. Any expert in like a really niche, teeny tiny thing is so excited when like any other person is genuinely interested in their little niche, tiny thing. They're like, I want to share it so bad. And most of the time in the rest of the world, right? They're like, nerd. But like DEF CON is the one place where like you're actually going to find somebody who wants to know everything you know about whatever it is.
And the other thing too is if you see somebody walking around with like a video game on their face or something like that, like you said, or some wild, crazy thing, they want to talk to you about it.
That's an invitation.
They want you to ask for it, so don't be afraid to ask them about it. That's why they brought it. They want to show it off. And you see some crazy ass projects there. It's very inspiring.
Also, side note, if you have room in your luggage and you have a crazy ass project, bring it and tell people about it. You will find some people may be like, yeah, okay, cool. You will find somebody who is totally into it and wants to help you improve it or iterate on it. Like, this is the group of people who are going to get your weird hobby.
Or even just if you want to throw down something and just see what people do with it. You might not get it back in all the same number of pieces that you delivered it in, but
it'll
I mean, like my co-speaker for this year, we're trying to get coordinated with the Tamper Evident Village, because he has a bunch of stuff that was in these like evidence bags that he got back after his case. There's a whole thing. But he still hasn't opened them yet. So we're kind of wanting to take them to the Tamper Evident Village and be like, this is like a legit police sealed bag. Can you, get into it, remove his stuff and like put a rubber chicken back in and seal it up so you can't tell the difference. Like just that sort of throw down, see what people do. And hopefully he gets the stuff out of it. But
that's right, like adjacent stuff that you don't have to sign up for, but does take place during certain time frames. That is also like good ways to meet new people who are interested in whatever. Have you guys talked about like scavenger hunt and toxic barbecue? And you're laughing.
So I don't think we've gone into scav hunt. Toxic barbecue is, like you mentioned, not officially at the venue, but yeah. And also DEF CON shoot. So I guess let's start with scav hunt, hit toxic barbecue, then hit the shoot, and then maybe hit the DEF CON party board.
Woo! Party.
So toxic barbecue, God, we started that back in like the AP days. Originally it was because everybody has their like regional barbecue sauce, and we were comparing recipes, and we were like wanting to have like a throwdown of everything. And so it was just trying to figure out like how can we grill some stuff and try these things. And
some people in recent years have brought different kinds of odd meats, like unusual meats. So it's not just about the barbecue sauce, but about the meats, about hanging out.
It's like a pre-kickoff kind of thing, just a chance to meet socially, and you know, usually at a park in Vegas. So it is outdoors.
Sunset Park.
I don't know where they have it anymore. I'm usually so freaking busy to get to it.
Last year or the year before, I think they changed locations. I'm not 100% sure where it is this year. DEF CON forums is the place to look for unofficial events. And so I think if you hit DEF CON forums, it'll list out where it is this year. It used to be there. I feel like they moved it for some reason.
It's a great place. Take some cash with you, or make a food run, chips, dip.
Yeah, potluck.
Sodas, whatever. Just chip in, show up, and generally there's people that are barbecuing the whole time. There's a ton of food there. Meet, talk with people, super chill.
Yeah, weird sauces and alien jerkies.
Yep.
That's what I think about the barbecue.
And pretty much that same comment can apply to the DEF CON shoot. So if you do not have a gun, you can still show up to the DEF CON shoot. Ammo is expensive.
Yeah,
Bring
so be
money.
prepared to throw a few bucks at
So
people.
if somebody is letting you use ammo, like, have the cash to reimburse them. Some people may be like, I have enough, you don't have to pay me, but don't assume that. Like, ask, like, they will give you the whole spiel when you show up at the event. It's still TBD whether I'm going to be able to make it, like, just for like a quick show later in the afternoon or not this year, because I have to do some banking stuff for Diana in the morning. Sneef. But there's lanes set up, and people rent the lanes, and then people without lanes can go drift through the different lanes, and basically ask, hey, I have a gun and some ammo, may I use it at your lane for a bit? Or, hey, I don't have stuff, may I use your stuff? I think sometimes they put tags on you for which type you are. They'll give you the whole safety thing about like what hot range is and not, when you should be handling weapons, where they should be pointed. If you don't know basic gun safety, please watch some videos. I think Dave has some on his channel before you go. But same idea, like, everyone's there to have fun, hang out, make friends, but bring some cash, or have your own guns and ammo that you can be like, hey, you use mine, I use yours type situation, much like the barbecue.
I have specifically I was just going to say, I've specifically found the DEF CON shoot to be one of those places where they're super welcoming and like really nice about questions in a way that maybe you might not anticipate or expect.
Yeah, and Deviant, the guy that runs it,
he's not been running it for the past few years. It's got
okay. But anyways, like, he and I are incredibly great friends. I mean, he officiated our wedding in last year. He and I definitely do not see eye to eye on gun things, but
neither do we.
I still went to the shoot a couple of times, and because I like things that make loud noises and stuff like that. I get that, and it was interesting because nobody was judging me on things I've said in the past about not caring for firearms and that, because part of it was wanting to know, okay, which was the loud end, and how to clear them, and just a little familiarity with them. But no, everybody was super inviting and willing to share. I mean, guy hands me an AR-15, and I unload this thing, and he's like, "Here, I'll try this." He pulls to say, "What's that?" "It's a grenade." "Why do you have a grenade?" "Well, it's for the grenade launcher, of course."
Duh.
And I'm like,
there is a soda can launcher that usually shows up and is a bunch of fun.
Yeah.
Play shoot.
I mean, I'm a skinny guy, so some of them were like handing me like really big things to see, like, okay, how far back is he gonna like stagger? You know,
If you've ever been curious though about like what they mean by recoil or you know, whatever, right? Like again, a thing you can't do with a library card. I mean, like hands-on, like the villages, like lockpicking, like firing a gun, maybe where you're from. That is not an easy thing to get access to, right?
Yeah. I mean, hearing what a Barrett 50 cal, you know, sounds like over on the other side of a
If
hill.
you're planning to go, buy good ear protection. Make sure it's rated for range.
Yeah, range stuff, not like Home Depot like buzzsaw stuff, like something actually meant for a firing range.
They do have a couple extras sometimes. I know a couple of years ago their storage unit got broken into and stolen, and Diana is really familiar with that because that happened to us this year. So I don't know if they still have extras around, but in general, like bring the ears, and if you're like, I'm never going to do this again, then you can donate them in for like, you know, next year people to use. And then we had mentioned Scav Hunt, which I have occasionally looked at the list and considered how I would do it.
I've been on the list a few times.
It like take your normal Scav Hunt and then like crank it up to weird.
Beyond weird. And the thing is, like, people will show up with the weird stuff.
It's a good way to make friends, to like be on a team, and like kind of you get a really good insight into how people think, that like when they want to solve a problem that's a little open-ended, right?
Yeah. And it is fun. Like just going around with a team trying to solve some of the weird stuff is fun. There are teams that hardcore, that's the only thing they do because they
bra full of couscous.
You
pen
go
test
you get some
quill.
couscous, you have a, you know, bra, whatever.
Right? Like it's an encouragement to have a lady on your team or a lady type.
There
a Gundam made out of feminine products.
There are going to be things on the list that you don't have to do everything on the list. There's point values for things. So if you're not comfortable with doing it, don't feel that you have to do it.
It's not all or nothing. Yeah.
Lube Goldberg machine.
Some of those were so cool.
Yeah, you're in a casino. You have access to so much stuff.
Well, that's the thing is the locals usually do pretty well because they've got access to things. So if you don't have a vehicle in that, you get really creative.
It would be good to have somebody on your team that has a vehicle to do a run to somewhere. But also just go hang out near the table to see what people bring. Like even if you don't want to participate, hanging out near that table for a little bit to see the cool things people find or come up with to answer some of those.
They'll have some of it on display.
Is fun.
I feel the same way about the tinfoil hat contest.
Yeah,
even if you don't want to make one, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different contests in there. There's the runway one.
Hacker runway.
Yeah. Sometimes it's really good and sometimes it's silly.
Well, I think it depends on the contestants, really. Yep. And so kind of like we were saying, if you want to participate in something like prep your machine to come in advance, if you want to participate in something like the hard hat contest or whatever, like maybe research all the contests now so that you can bring with you tools or whatever to prep and do the thing when you get there. The tinfoil hat contest, I'm pretty sure supplies the tinfoil, so you know, whatever. But yeah, definitely look into the contests.
Just, like if you walk by and there's something going on, don't be afraid to just dive into it too. Because oftentimes, you know, yeah, okay, somebody who's local or spent like months prepping or something like that will have an advantage, but you still end up having a hell of a lot of fun.
And for parties, I have already been getting emails for parties because of Black Hat and whatever. So honestly, there's a DEF CON parties Twitter and Google Calendar, and the Google Calendar, like I use Google Calendar excessively. Like they just have, like looking at their calendar makes me stressed out, and that's an accomplishment because there's just so many parties going on every single day. I know this sounds terrible, and this is the opposite of what I recommend for a workshop. If you register for a workshop, show up. On the other hand, for the parties, register for as many parties as you think you might want to go to.
Particularly any of the corporate ones.
Yeah. Now, some of them will require that you have a Black Hat pass. Start checking your spam box for people, for paid sponsors of Black Hat, because sometimes they'll give out expo passes and that'll work. And so like register for as many parties as you think you can get to. Try and get as many like Black Hat, like not as many, but get a Black Hat pass for free if you can. look at the different groups that you align yourself to, like QueerCon, et cetera, like there's all different kind of subgroups that'll have their own room parties. Find out if you need to register in advance or whatever. Because if you're registered and you show up, you're much more likely to get in. When they hit capacity, they're going to be like, hey, nobody's coming in for a bit. You can wait in line or maybe try back in 20 or 30 minutes, because a lot of people will pop into one party and then, you know, get a drink or whatever, say hi, and then pop over to another party. So if that party's not your jam and you're registered for 3 or 4 parties at the same time, you could be like, okay, that party was not my jam. I'm going to pop over to this other party. Try and have cash to tip bartenders, because whether it's a room party or it's an official party, like in a lot of cases, bartenders don't get paid a lot, especially the room parties. Like that may be somebody just volunteering to mix drinks for the evening and be a nice person. So tip your people.
And know your limits. Don't be an ass.
Make sure you know the people that, if you're going to go too far, you start going too far. Make sure that you've got a buddy there. Make sure that there's somebody there, like you have an exit plan. You know how to get back to your room, your hotel. There's been
so many
random times, at least 2 or 3 times I've been in like the Nevada desert somewhere and been like, ah, crap, how do I get back now?
Or there's that guy that like really needed a buddy, right? And he just needed somebody to take him back, to pour him into his room, and in the meantime, he's in a planter.
I've had to deal with a bunch of those people over the years.
Yeah, don't be the guy.
I have been that person once or twice at DEF CON.
Well, but still, it's usual rules apply. I mean, I actually trust the people at DEF CON and with the general public.
I'm gonna butt in with a female caveat here.
Yeah.
All the general rules apply. Watch your drink, keep your hand over it. Only take something you watch mixed in front of you. There are absolutely things that happen at DEF CON unofficial parties that happen at unofficial parties everywhere. This is not unique to DEF CON.
You get a population of 20, 30, 40,000.
There's going to be a couple people,
unfortunately.
Which is, so like we said, everything is better with a friend. So have a friend who knows where your room is and you know where their room is. And if one of you starts getting sloshed, the other one cuts back so that somebody can go put somebody into a cab and make sure they make it to their room. If you've been watching your drinks and whatever, you'll probably have a good time.
Weed is legal in Nevada. Weed is not legal to smoke in public in Nevada. There are technically like going to be some recreational spots opening up. There's one hotel right now that's like gonna book as soon as it becomes legal, but nowhere is it legal yet. So at your own risk.
So where BSides Las Vegas used to happen, the Artisan has rebranded to be the Cannabis Hotel referenced. I'm just also going to put a couple caveats there. Weed stays in your system for a long period of time. If you, for some reason, have a clearance, make it clear to the groups that you're hanging out with that you are not going to participate or be near weed use. You understand it's legal, or semi-legal, and you understand they're going to do what they're going to do, but they should let you know so you can go somewhere else. We don't want anybody to get in trouble. And so much like drinking, make it clear what your boundaries are to people. And if they want to go do their thing, be like, okay, cool, you go do that party or whatever. I'm going to go to a different one, because this is not something like alcohol where you could do it and get away with it. It's going to be testable for a while.
Don't feel like you have to drink at any of the parties. There may be some peer pressure. There may be a lot of peer pressure, but a lot of people will back down if you're like, no, I am not drinking for whatever. You don't have to give a reason. Like, no, I'm not drinking.
But also mocktails are a great, like, throw an umbrella into whatever you got going on, and you don't have to like worry about people, right? Curly straw in your Slurpee.
I specifically bought a bag of the little tiki umbrellas to stick in drinks, just because you stick that into anything and it makes it fancy, right?
And nobody asks you a thing. It's fine.
Oh, except for, where did you get that umbrella?
Secret stash.
And we've got 5 minutes left and one question left, and then we're all going to run away. But you can always ask questions in the TDI Discord if you're there, or the DEF CON forum. I'm not sure what SquadCon uses, but if SquadCon has like a Slack or a Discord, ask there. People are all friendly. So the last question is badge life. Tell us about it.
So
go ahead.
I'm embedded in Badge Life. I make badges. I help in the hardware hacking village pretty much every year. I help teach soldering, basic electronics, all that stuff. They exist. There's tons of them.
Bring cash.
Lots of cash.
I still frown upon like selling of the badges and stuff.
If people want to recoup their cost, $50-$60, fine, whatever. $300 though, that thing better be amazing.
Yeah. And there have been some friggin' amazing badges.
Yeah, there was a badge last year that was a breathalyzer. Like,
yeah,
there's usually one of those every year.
Sky Talks did that like so many years ago for our speakers.
Yeah, I remember I was one of the drunk test subjects for that one. They're like, here, drink this, blow into this, and watch me black out.
So I guess from a non-maker perspective, respect that these people, and you can comment on the time spent, respect that these people have spent months and months and months and tons of effort designing, troubleshooting, and crafting this thing. So they're asking for money to recoup. They have put in time and money into that. Now there's some people who are gouging. Like that's a different thing. Now some people will sell kits. Like Diana Initiative is selling a kit. We also have a solder village. DEF CON also has a solder village. You can then go to there and ask people, hey, can you help me? He's actually going to be helping. Actually, both of these guys are going to be helping in the village. So they will help you assemble your kit. And that will feel amazing to be like, not only do I have a Blinky badge, but I assembled this awesome Blinky badge. So don't turn up your nose at a kit if you're going to have some time during the event to learn how to put it together.
Kits are deeply satisfying.
And some are genuinely practical. Like the car hacking village last year had one that was based off an Arduino, and it was specifically designed for plugging into CAN bus and hacking cars. I mean, I think they wanted like $50 for it. And it's like, but that's material cost basically at that point. And I'm like, okay, and it's a useful tool. It's not just blinky; it's actually practical.
For me, if it's less than like $100 and it's actually practical, I'm super into it. The thing is, you can follow the badge makers Discord. There's a public version and a not public version. So, you'll get people that are like still assembling stuff in their rooms though. And they'll be like, okay, I'll be at the bar in the link at midnight and I'll have 4 badges.
I remember the early days of the Ninja Networks badges when they were handing those out. They were literally up in their room soldering away like mad to get those things done.
So the Discord, we're currently trying to figure out how to do those announcements, whether it's going to be through a web page or social media or through the Discord. There's still arguments on that. I'm all about kits. I much prefer the kits and assembling things over something that's pre-assembled. And the cost of the badge, as long as it's like cost of parts, like it
depends on what it does. If all it does is blink lights and they want $300 for it, like.
That thing better be a friggin' runway beacon.
Right. There's some crazy
about somebody's eye.
There's some crazy ones out there. I've been part of the Darknet contest at DEF CON for over a decade, and ours was cost plus like 5% or 10% or something, so that we could purchase the parts to do the badge the following year without us putting up like, I don't know.
And the other thing is that you'll run across is the DAOs or SAOs.
SAOs, shitty add-ons.
The add-on badges, which usually just like plug on to other compatible badges. Like there's actually like a standard so that those will blink or do something cool. So you can end up with these like I think I see people making expander boards for them too and stuff. So it's like you plug in all the things. So yeah, those you get all sorts of weird and interesting ones, and some of them are just like 6 solder points.
And there's a good note about things to check and things not to check.
Yes.
And like TSA gets super duper weird. There is a TSA app that you can look up things like, am I allowed to check duct tape?
But also it's their personal discretion. Like they might take your nail clippers this time.
There's a safety aspect too, because a burning lithium battery is hot enough to cut through aluminum, and guess what planes are made out of? And if you check that bag and something happens,
the official rules are nominally some of them placed in safety, some of them based on
Yeah,
somebody's
don't want
fantasy
them
of safety.
check bag
But
on it.
to the point, the TSA can make up any rule they want on the spot. If you, however, and this depends if you're like cis het looking or not, you can politely and kindly say, look, in the app, I looked this morning, I printed this out, I'm following the specific directions from the TSA app and website. Can I speak to a manager? You may, if you look at Deviant's YouTube, he had a fight about, I think, a fork or something recently, and he ended up winning because he is cis het looking and he was polite and he
And
did
you get
have,
there 2 hours early.
yeah, and you get there early and you have specific evidence. I am one of the people who went to DEF CON when they first introduced backscatter arrays in a chainmail bikini just to screw with them. So plan for what amount of things you're bringing and how much trouble you're going to cause, and give yourself enough time. If it's a chainmail bikini, may I recommend 8 hours, because that's about the average shift, and then
Yeah,
they'll
knowing
release
the
you at
rules
the end
ahead
of
of
the shift.
time helps. There was a time where that ended up with 7 TSA agents, the supervisor, and the guy from the bomb squad when I was leaving Louisville.
Right, but USPS flat rate is like, if it fits in the box, it goes. It's fine.
Yeah, well,
You're not
the upper
supposed
limit is
to
70
mail.
pounds. Interestingly, the medium-sized
Batteries?
box,
Yeah.
which is like a half foot cubed, is a filled with concrete. Hits almost exactly 70 pounds.
Somewhere,
As
somebody
a
figured that
note
out.
for mailing things, please do be conscientious of what they ask, because they ask is anything liquid, fragile, perishable,
That's true.
flammable, etc. So like some types of batteries you need to declare, and you should like make sure that they are wrapped so that they can't bump into each other or whatever, and they're properly secured. So if you're going to mail things, make sure you are following United States Post Office guidelines for packaging and declaring the things.
There's a whole thing with when we try to mail out kits, we can't mail out batteries in those kits because they're not assembled. If it was a fully assembled, then we could attach the LiPo to send with it, which is
as long as it's, I think, attached, and then they're supposed to be safety tabbed. I think, whatever. There's some weird little caveats, but look up your caveats before just mailing shit.
It's, plus if anything shorts out, it might ruin your badge. And that,
and showing up to the airport early is not that big of a deal around like Hacker Summer Camp, because generally
you are not alone.
You are not alone, and you'll meet some cool people in the airports.
Yep.
And honestly, like, get there early, then go have a coffee or a snack or a nap or read a book or just decompress, or post on Twitter or Mastodon or whatever, like, I'm in the Delta Lounge. Who else is in the Delta Lounge? And like make buddies. And then Black Girls Hack pointed out that the airport is a cluster. So we're not saying the airport's not terrible. We're just saying it's not bad to get there early. And in fact, with the new facial recognition thing and the likelihood that the hackers are going to be opting out of the facial recognition thing and slowing down the line, I'm going to even recommend showing up even earlier. And also potentially, if you would like to join the opting out of facial recognition, look up your rights ahead of time. Look at how many even like US politicians have had trouble opting out of this, and be prepared to cause some trouble and take extra time. So
good trouble.
And with that, I think we're at time. Does anyone want to add like their last 2 cents of advice for newbies?
There was one thing that I would suggest with the comfortable shoes. Try wearing your mask beforehand for hours and hours and hours, and build up your tolerance for that.
Your nose callus.
Yeah, that can be like a rude awakening when you wear your mask for the first time for 12 hours straight.
Yeah. The other thing is, and I think what she's going to get is, we both invested in some really nice respirators, that filter both ways, so they're.
That's what he's got.
Yeah, I've got my Elastomeric
with the nice soft rubber. Yeah, there she's got them there.
Still, though, wearing it for like half an hour to go grocery shopping is so different from 12 hours, right?
So I will say that I wore this one for a 2-day Diana Initiative event, all day, no breaks. The gel is super squishy and nice and comfy.
Fancy.
And I believe, Brad, you wore this one last year?
Not SchmooCon was First time I
Okay.
wore
So,
that
but
one.
has been worn to a conference. They do get a little moist on the inside. I ordered but haven't gotten yet, so I'm probably going to hit the dollar store. My idea, and if anybody has any hacks for this, let me know, is I'm actually going to put a couple makeup sponges just near the chin so that the water doesn't pool, and then I'll just rotate out those whenever I'm taking like a lunch break or whatever. Because last year I ended up using like tissue, or not tissue. The things you put on your glasses cleaning cloths, you know, they're fairly absorbent. I ended up using them while running SkyTalks. So I think I'm just going to put a couple like chopped up makeup sponge, like just so that it's square, not giant round thing in the bottom to catch water. If anybody has any better hacks, do let me know.
I just used, mine would fill up and I would just go out, dump it out and take some napkins and clean it out. And
Can we just put like a silica pack in each of the things?
it fills up too fast. I tried it.
Gross.
I also had a microphone that I put in mine that shorted out because of the humidity on the inside, and my whole speaker setup so people could hear me talk failed.
I do have to say, ShmooCon was way different than DEF CON. So ShmooCon, I was able to wear the mask with like little to no condensation issues at all, but that is January, Washington, D.C. DEF CON, on the other hand, absolutely has a moisture issue. Just for clarification, Diana Initiative is requiring masks this year unless you are actively drinking, eating, or you are a speaker giving your talk. For DEF CON, they're optional. For SquadCon, I have not seen anything yet, but I know that they're going to be using some of the Corsi boxes that Diana has. So I think they're also on the safer side of things. BSides Las Vegas, I think last year rented air filtration things, so they probably will be doing that again. So absolutely test out your thingies and get used to wearing them for long periods of time. Figure out how best you want to empty and wipe them out if you're in a hot, humid environment.
Good.
All right, so yeah, I will just say, do all of Hacker Summer Camp. There's SquadCon, which is squadcon.me, Diana Initiative, the dianainitiative.org or dianainitiative.org, I forget. Try both. There is BSides Las Vegas. There is Black Hat, which is ridiculously expensive. Don't go unless you have a free pass. And then there's DEF CON. So they're all lots of fun. Go do all of the things, flip between them, and we will see you in Vegas.